United Way Partner Agency. We are located on the campus of Fayeville State University, and our signal is carried by UNC Chapel Hill. Your radio hosts today are
Marty Baldwin
and Ralph Walkie Robertson. And of course, today is St. Valentine's Day.
You didn't let them give
hopefully you didn't forget your Valentine's gift to your Valentine. Today is Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018. And we will be reading news for today's edition of the Fayeville Observer.
And I'll start with our weather. Today is 67, mostly cloudy. Tonight, 53. Thursday, 79 and 63. Friday, 81. Wow. And 49 at night. Saturday, 55 with rain and drizzle in the afternoon. Down to 43 that night. Sunday will be 66 with low clouds. And at night, 44. Next Monday, 71, 57, 79 on Tuesday, and 58 at night. Very warm with some sun. And this coming Friday, the weather report tells us that it should be turning cloudy. So we have a very cloudy week, but apparently warm. I'll recap this week. Today 67, tomorrow 53, Thursday 79, and Friday 81, down to Saturday 55. But those are really pretty nice for February, and as we approach the end of February, we will have had a fairly warm month. Applause. Rebecca Warren of Vass received a degree from the University of Memphis in Tennessee on December 17. Rebecca Brunson of Fayetteville has been named to the Dean's List at Emerson College in Boston for the fall 2017 semester. Today in history. Today is Ash Wednesday, February 14th, the 45th day of 2018. There are 320 days left in the year, and this is also Valentine's Day. Today's highlights. On February 14, 1918, Russia converted from the old-style Julian calendar to the new-style Gregorian calendar, losing 13 days in the process. For Russians, the day before was January 31st. The musical Sinbad, starring Al Jolson and featuring the song Rockabye Your Baby with the Dixie Melody, opened on Broadway. In 1778, the American sloop-of-war Ranger carried the recently adopted Stars and Stripes to a foreign port for the first time as it arrived in France. In 1849, President James K. Polk became the first U.S. chief executive to be photographed while in office as he posed for Matthew Brady in New York City, the famous Matthew Brady from whom we have most of our Civil War type photographs. In 1859, Oregon was admitted to the Union as the 33rd state, and in 1912, Arizona became the 48th state of the Union as President William Howard Taft signed a proclamation. Birthdays today. TV personality Hugh Downs is 97. Actor Andrew Prine, 82. Singer Razzie Bailey, 79. Maceo Parker, 75. Carl Bernstein, 74. TV personality of Pat O'Brien, 70. Magician Teller, Penn and Teller, is 70. Cajun singer. Musician Michael Doucet is 67. Actress Meg Tilly is 58. Football Hall of Famer Jim Kelly, 58. Singer Dwayne Wiggins, 57. Actress Sakina Jaffrey, 56. Rock singer Rob Thomas, 46. NFL quarterback Drew Bledsoe, 46. Actress Stephanie Leonidas is 34.
The law says only 3 dogs or cats in Hope Mills. Wow. I'm going to have to get rid of 19
Yeah,
dogs.
that's right.
What are the rules in regards to nuisance dogs, and what can be done about it? Are there any limits to how many dogs that can be bred and maintained in one home? I am surrounded by dogs who constantly bark, and the owners make little to no effort to control the barking. According to DM survey, Hope Mills Deputy Chief of Police, town ordinance limit residents to 3 dogs or cats kept on their premises. The ordinance does not allow exceptions for temporary keeping of pet litters or a commercial kennel. However, if the resident is in fact operating a commercial breeding kennel, they must obtain a permit to do so from the North Carolina Department of Agriculture. As for the barking, survey said that could be a violation of the town's noise ordinance. He said if a resident suspects a violation, they should call the town animal control officer at 425-4103 Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Can you determine the status of the previously scheduled repairs to the railroad tracks on Hay Street right outside the Amtrak station? A deep crack has developed, risking vehicular traffic headed west on Hay Street. Your questions crisscross the repairs. TC, the CSX Railroad, fixed the damage last week and reopened the crossing. Question. I have a painting of the pond next to the old De Lafayette restaurant. What was the name of that pond? It's McFadden Lake. The restaurant, once an upscale landmark off Cliffdale Road, was demolished in July after being vacant since 2000. Livewire seeks to answer questions of general interest in consumer topics. Initials are used to identify questioners when names are given. Contact Livewire at livewire@Fayeville Observer or call 486-3516.
And that was a wonderful restaurant in its day. One of the truly nice places to go in Fayetteville. Here is Need to Know this morning. Gospel Explosion Grammy-nominated contemporary gospel singer Ricky Dillard and his choir will perform March 17 at Fayetteville State University's Gospel Explosion. The concert is scheduled for 6 p.m. in J.W. Seabrook Auditorium. Tickets are $25 for the general public, $20 for alumni, faculty, staff, and the military. Tickets may be purchased at etix.com and at the auditorium. For more information, call 672-1724. Number 2, Lip Sync Showdown. Tickets are on sale for Fayetteville's Ultimate Lip Sync Showdown, scheduled for March 24 at the Crown Center Ballroom. A social hour begins at 6 p.m. The show starts at 7. Proceeds benefit Child Advocacy Center. Local celebrities will battle it out for the title of Fayetteville's Ultimate Lip Sync Star. Audience participation determines the winner of the People's Choice Award. Tickets are $50 per person for standard table seating and $75 per person for VIP table seating. Tickets are available at capefairtix.com or at the Crown Box office. For more information, go to cacfaync.org. Number 3, Go Red for Women Heart Event. Go Red for Women Heart Event. I see. Southeastern Health will hold a Go Red for Women Heart event at Biggs Park Mall in Lumberton, 28 February from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. The event will feature a display of red dresses and a presentation on women and heart disease in the center court at noon. Complimentary heart, healthy, heavy hors d'oeuvres will be provided, as well as free giveaways and health screenings for blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar. The event will include booths with information about women's health, cancer prevention, breast health, fitness, heart health, wound care, and more.
Applause Rebecca Warren of Vass received a degree from the University of Memphis in Tennessee on December the 17th.
I read that.
You've already read all this?
For the applause, yes.
Oh, where'd that come from?
I don't know, there must have been two.
Mother, daughter killed in Robson wreck.
Oh,
A Lumberton man has been charged with 2 counts of misdemeanor death by vehicle in a Monday wreck near Pembroke that killed a mother and daughter. The wreck happened at 7:33 a.m. on Deep Branch Road, about 1.5 miles west of Pembroke. Rudolph Freeman, 51, of the 800 block of Oak Grove Road, was traveling northwest toward Pembroke when his 2008 Ford Super Duty pickup ran off the right side of the road. Freeman steered the truck back onto the road, but it crossed the center line and slammed into a Honda passenger car driven by Jessica Renee Oxendine, 33, of the 400 block of Noah Drive in Maxton. The impact flipped the Honda around and the truck overturned on its side, coming to rest in a ditch. Oxendine was pronounced dead at the scene, as was her daughter, G. Scott, 13, of the same address. Oxendine's son, Robert Oxendine Jr., 8, also a passenger, was initially taken to Southeast Regional Medical Center but was transferred to UNC hospitals in Chapel Hill, where he was in critical condition. Freeman and his 3 passengers, ages 18, 13, and 9, were taken to Scotland Memorial Hospital in Laurinburg, where all were treated and released, Wright said.
Here's public safety. Cumberland County arrest. Caesar Jerome Howell, 23, of the 600 block of Edge Hill Drive, was charged Tuesday with second-degree kidnapping, conspiracy, and misdemeanor, assault, and battery. Bail was set at $50,000. Christopher John Melton, 42, of the 1200 block of Mount Tabor Road in Red Springs, was charged Tuesday with larceny of a firearm, possessing a stolen firearm, obtaining property by false pretense, misdemeanor larceny, and misdemeanor possessing stolen property. Bail was set at $2,000. Jail must be full out there. Imagine a list like that, and bail is $2,000. Lamont DeWitt Talley, 40, of the 1700 block of Cumberland Drive, was charged Tuesday with possession of a firearm by a felon. Bail was set at $1,500. Oh my, no wonder we have crime here. Mario James Anderson, 52, of the 600 block of Portsmouth Drive, was charged Tuesday with financial transaction card theft and identity theft. Bail was set at $5,000. Anitria Danise West, 34, of the 6700 block of Agnes Scott Drive, was charged with 2 counts each of attempting to obtain a controlled substance by fraud and trafficking in heroin. Bail was set at $102,000. Hubert Edward Burns, 35, of the 6700 block of Willowbrook Drive, was charged Tuesday with breaking and entering, larceny, possessing stolen property, and conspiracy. Bail was set at $15,000. Rogers Glenn Milton Jr., 49, of the 6600 block of Foxbury Road, was charged Tuesday with 1 felony count of possessing a controlled substance and a misdemeanor count of possessing a controlled substance. Bail was set at $2,500. Christian Basak Chadwick, 20, of the 7000 block of Wickersham Drive, was charged Monday with 2 counts of robbery with a dangerous weapon.
They will have activities for youth and give attendees an opportunity to interact with city, county, and state elected officials, as well as local government staff. Activities will include hip-hop acting with. We invite everyone to come out and...
State orders new measures to control Gen X higher than the state considers safe. The state doesn't believe the Gen X On Monday, the State Department of Environmental Quality issued Chemours a notice of violation and ordered the company to immediately take new measures to control additional sources of Gen X, clean potentially contaminated equipment, and capture any resulting wastewater for off-site disposal. Reduce or eliminate air emissions that are contributing to groundwater contamination. Officials at Chemours could not be reached for comment. The notice of violation followed 4 spills in recent weeks at the Bladen County plant. None of those at 2 buildings on the Fayetteville works site. Engineering estimates suggest that a new air abatement system scientific test homes near the plant, but state officials said there was insufficient data to determine whether the systems are effective. After the pilot study, the state will determine whether the filtration systems may be used as short-term solution for contaminated wells, the release said. Contamination exceeding the state's health goal of 140 parts per trillion of Gen X has now been found in 151 private wells near the Chemours plant. Those residents are receiving bottled water. More information about the state's Gen X investigation, sampling efforts, and other related topics is available on the DEQ website at deq.nc.gov/news/hot topics/Gen X-investigation. Staff writer Greg Barnes can be reached at 486-3525.
Bill sends pipeline money to the schools. The State House voted 104 to 12 on Tuesday for legislation that would send millions of dollars from the Atlantic Coast Pipeline to the school systems in Cumberland, Robeson, and Sampson counties. Cumberland County would get $15.1 million. Robeson County would get $7.5 million. Sampson County, $2.4 million. And the Clinton City Schools would get $875,403. The bill, House Bill 90, previously passed the Senate 37-5. All 6 of Cumberland County's lawmakers voted for it. The bill now moves on to Democratic Governor Roy Cooper. It's unclear whether Cooper will sign it. He had other plans for the pipeline money that the legislature voted to give to the local school boards. Further, the legislation has other major policy changes in it. One he likes, another he dislikes. One provision would boost education spending starting in 2019 so local school systems can hire more kindergarten through 3rd grade teachers. During a visit to Hope Mills last week, Cooper called for this spending. Another provision would change the composition of the North Carolina State Board of Elections to 9 members. This follows a state, but it passed with the support of most Democrats despite their displeasure of environmental concerns. A new wrinkle emerged in late January when the state issued a major permit for the project. When the permit was issued, the pipeline developer agreed to give the state $57.8 million to mitigate any environmental risks or problems associated with the project. The governor would control this money. Opponents and supporters of the pipeline questioned this deal. They said it smacks of pay to play and appears to create a slush fund that Cooper can use to give money to organizations that support him. Some question whether the North Carolina Constitution permits the governor to control the money, or if instead the legislature controls it. With House Bill 90, the legislature voted to take the money. The legislature in 2016 passed a law to require local school systems to hire more teachers for kindergarten grades, to reduce the number of children each teacher has so that each student. But the mandate included no money to pay for those teachers. Then, statewide in 2019 and $91.3 million in 2020 to help the districts pay for the new teachers.
Okay, on my desk. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, stop me at, the proper time. But I'll be reading crime for a few minutes, and then we have our station break. So if you wanted to get up and do something else, that's fine. Alleged drug trafficker held in Colorado, and we'll start with that. A man wanted for his involvement in a Robeson County drug trafficking network was arrested Friday, according to a release from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Andres Garza, 52, was arrested in Edwards, Colorado, and is being held in the Mesa County Detention Center in Grand Junction, Colorado, the release said. A federal arrest warrant has been issued for Garza by the U.S. District Court in Greenville, charging him with conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute a quantity of marijuana, a quantity of cocaine, and a quantity of cocaine base known as crack. Garza is alleged to have been involved in the Robeson County trafficking network from 2011 to March of 2017. The investigation began in 2015 after authorities discovered more than 2,000 pounds of marijuana sent via FedEx from Mexico to Maxton. The group also was involved in trafficking cocaine and crack as part of a network with ties to North Carolina, Texas, Louisiana, and Mexico. Well, we pretty well know about that sort of thing. These small towns are a really good place to hide. Woman charged in embezzlement. A Fayeville woman is accused of embezzling more than $3,000 from a gymnastics center over a 5-month period. Mary Colette Barnes, 27, of this 6300 block of Abbott's Park Drive, was charged Tuesday with 24 counts of embezzlement. She is accused of taking $3,026 from Omega School of Gymnastics at 4145 Fern Creek Drive between June and October while she was employed there, according to arrest warrants in Cumberland County's Magistrate's Office. The bail was set at $48,000. And next we have Bladen man gets prison in a shooting case. A Bladen Borough man was sentenced to between 48 and 70 months in prison Tuesday after pleading guilty in Bladen County District Court to shooting into an occupied dwelling. Tiante L. Ray, 30, was charged in February 2017 after the Bladen Borough Police Department responded to a report of shots fired at Village Oak Apartments on Pecan Street, according to a news release from the Bladen County District Attorney's Office. Officers arrived and were talking to people who said they were inside an apartment when they heard gunshots and saw a bullet pass through a screen door and a wall inside. A third person reported seeing Ray firing a gun toward the apartment before he ran away. No injuries were reported. Well, there's a fortune.
Finally going to have some peace. He and his ex-wife, Rachel Wellhauser, Chambers' mother, attended the first appearance hearing in court this afternoon for Howard Asselman, 24, of the 1300 block of North Main Street in Wade. Asselman was arrested Monday in Randolph County and returned to Cumberland County, where he was charged with first-degree murder and robbery with a dangerous weapon. This is heartbreaking, Wellhauser said after the briefing, struggling to keep his composure. Her son was 28 when he went missing in August 2014. His body has not been found. Ashelman, wearing a jail-issued orange jumpsuit, appeared in court joined by his lawyer David Smith. Ashelman stared at Wellhauser and her husband, seated on the front row of the small gallery, as he walked into the courtroom. Wellhauser clenched her husband's hand tightly throughout the brief proceeding. Ashelman is being held without bail, and Judge Stephen C. Stokes opted not to change that. After the hearing, Chambers' parents and their spouses spoke with media representatives in the parking lot after Ashelman's wife walked by and spoke to Wellhauser. She wanted a hug, said Well. He cashed his check, went to the ABC store, and went home. Ashelman is accused of robbing Chambers of $100. Wellhauser struggled to keep from crying. "I'll never have my son," she said. "I just want to be a mom."
Better to do the station break.
We don't have it.
Oh, well, would you?
This is the radio reading service. We are with the Chapel Hill UNC Broadcasting Center. And at this time, it is time to read the obituaries, and I'd like to dedicate the reading of the obituaries to my dear...
A Maxton Lumberton man is accused of molesting a child, the Robeson County Sheriff's Office said Tuesday. James Gilbert Smith, 36, is charged with first-degree sex offense with a child. 100 block of Clark Road in Maxton was charged Monday with taking indecent liberties with a minor. No other information was provided by the Red Springs Police Department. Bowen's bail was set at $15,000, and there's a picture. Robeson man charged in pedestrian death from Lumberton. A Pembroke man who left the scene after hitting and killing a man Sunday is charged with felony hit and run, the Highway Patrol said. Paul Locklear Jr., 25, of the 2400 block of Locklear Road, and his 2000 was 70 miles per hour and a 55 mile per hour.
The FBI said Tuesday it gave the Trump administration information on multiple occasions last year about a top aide accused of domestic abuse by his 2 ex-wives. And the investigation wrapped up in January. That account by FBI Director Christopher of tone-deaf handling of abuse. And Kelly expressed surprise that Porter had previously been married in July. Soon after that, the agency received a request at a follow-up inquiry, and it provided the information in November. Porter was interviewed.
Cheers and jeers. Do you want to share? 0651. Cheers and jeers are published as...
There are some time-saving steps that can take before you walk into the door. If you need to get a library card, the application is online at cumberland.lib.nc.us. Place a hold on it and choose from any of our 8 branches for the pickup location that's most convenient for you. If you don't have any particular titles in mind, grab a book bundle. Each one contains several items with a similar theme. Tied together and ready for checkout, bundles are available for both children and adults. Our goal is to make it as easy as possible for you to use the library. We know you are busy, and we want to help you take advantage of everything we have to offer. Visit our website, stop in, or call for more details.
Here's what you should know about abuse by Colby Holderness, who was the first wife of Fort Strong, for the victim to see the situation clearly. For me, living in constant fear of Rob's anger and being subjected to his degrading tirades for years chipped away at my independence and sense of self-worth. I walked away from that relationship a shell of a person I was when I went into it. It took me a long time to realize the toll that his behavior was taking on me. Rob has denied the abuse, but there is the just as serious issue of being believed and supported by those you choose to tell. Sometimes people don't believe you. Sometimes they have difficulty truly understanding what you are trying to tell them. Both Willoughby and I raised our cases with clergy. Both of us had a hard time getting them to fully address the abuse taking place. It wasn't until I spoke to a professional counselor that I was met with understanding. Leaving and putting the pieces of your life back together takes strength. Willoughby had to obtain a protective order as she was trying to extricate herself from her marriage. I had to take an extended leave from graduate school because I was depressed and unable to complete the work. When I finally left Rob for good, my self-confidence was so destroyed that I was too scared to apply to any jobs other than that of a server at a restaurant. It has taken me years to get my professional life back on track. Victims are often with their abusers for long periods of time. They marry them, become financially intertwined with them, have children with them. There are many reasons people find it difficult to leave. The bottom line is, it takes strength to pull yourself away and start over. I never imagined myself in the situation I'm in now. No one could have. I'm not a partisan. I'm not an activist. Far from it. In fact, prevent her from into a relationship with an abuser. Abuse often doesn't manifest itself only later, when you're in deep and behind closed doors. There's a stigma and a silence surrounding all these issues. Those who are in a position to do something about it ought to. Colby Holderness was the first wife of former White House Secretary Rob Porter. She wrote this for the Washington Post.
Let me call you sweetheart. Don't be surprised today if your doorbell rings and standing outside are those handsome guys dressed in tuxedos and the eloquent ladies in their gowns. Happy Valentine's Day. Somebody loves you. I have about 35 students who will be singing all day long, says Michael Martin, Director of Choral Activities and Music Education at Methodist University. Where members of the Methodist Chorale may be heading your way, replete with a rose and valentine card in hand, and a romantic serenade. We have been doing singing Valentines at Methodist University for about 7 years now. Faith Bowen, Elizabeth Wise, Amanda Allred, Mary Allen, Ashley Matthews, Patrice Williams, Sarah Smith, Adam Hickerson, Maurice Edwards, and Max Oliver will be among the group of students visiting about 50 homes or workplaces from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the special Valentine's delivery. While I was working on my doctoral degree at Kent State University, I coordinated with this very program for the Kent State Men's Chorus. Martin says, it seemed like such an easy thing to do. A great way to fundraise, but most importantly, a great way to connect with the community. So I brought the idea to Methodist University. The money would benefit the chorale's tour of Italy, Martin says, and other concerts after the tour. We leave March 1st, Martin says. In Rome, we are singing at 2 evening masses at Santa wherever we are asked. We're so excited.
Good. Okay, let's see what we have. Here is School Board ends sex education program. And I will begin. School Board Chairwoman Carrie Sutton said after the meeting the school system will return to using sex ed program that has been used since 2009. We're going to educate our kids as best we can, she said. Interim Superintendent Tim Kinlaw had put the program on hold in October after parents questioned school officials about it during a meeting at Mac Williams Middle School. A committee of 3 middle school teachers and 3 members of the community reviewed the program. The school board's curriculum committee voted last week to end the program after getting the reviewing committee's recommendations. At the meeting Tuesday, Kelly Bullard of Wade thanked the committee for voting against the Get Real program. He said the program teaches risk reduction instead of risk avoidance, which he favors. Get Real does this, she said. Rafael Molina, who was handing out cards saying he is a candidate for Board of Education, spoke against the program. He criticized the board for allowing it to be taught during the previous school year and mentioned Planned Parenthood involvement in the program. Get Real was developed by the Planned Parenthood League of Massachusetts. The Cumberland School System started offering the program in 2016 after it received a grant for it. Well, Planned Parenthood has many thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars from the government, and they could get into communities that disagree with them. A few parents opted to remove their children from the program, but the school system didn't receive complaints about it, according to school officials. At Tuesday's meeting, several people in the crowd became upset when Molina was told to stop talking just after his 3-minute time limit expired. One loudly mentioned that Stevens was allowed to go beyond the limit. A Cumberland County Sheriff's deputy removed a microphone from in front of Molina when he didn't stop talking. He stood up and said, "As long as I have a voice, I will speak." The deputy escorted him. Molina and one other speaker, Kathy Greggs, talked about a school resource officer using pepper spray on a student at 71st High School. The incident happened last week after the officer broke up a fight between the other two students. Gregg said the officers are supposed to look out for the safety of all students. She asked board members to consider taking action against the officer and look into whether the school resource officers are properly trained. The board also met behind closed doors for 40 minutes to discuss a personal matter. No action was taken after the session. Well, I guess a kid who gets into a fight on the school grounds, at 71st High School, and the officer broke up a fight, and then one of the fighting students attacked or was about to...
By holding up the bill to keep the government running. They were unsuccessful, and Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, despite protests from immigration activists, wisely retreated. A government-funded measure was passed a few days ago with a promise that the Senate would take up immigration this week. The procedure is that if anything gets 60 votes, it passes. As for the House, Speaker Ryan has said only if that will take the House measures. Trump has been all over the lot. He has offered a proposal that, in addition to supporting Dreamers and a border wall, would beef up deportation police and cut legal immigration, among other measures that could never get through the Senate. What he wants is anything he can call a victory. There are more than 60 votes in the Senate to protect Dreamers, ideally on a permanent basis, and to provide more money for border security while being purposely vague on the wall. In addition to some other small changes, this depends on two conditions. First, the bipartisan self-styled common sense lawmakers, Republicans like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, and Democrats Joe Manchin and Chris Coons have to stick together and ignore Trump and his tweets.
Okay, station break time.
Okay, it's station break time, and we are reading from you from the Fayeville State University campus, and we are carried by the UNC Radio Network. And your readers today are
Marty Baldwin
and Ralph Walkie Robertson. And it is now time for the obituaries. I'd like to dedicate the reading to my dearly departed mom, Virginia Brantley Robertson, who spent her last 10 years non-ambulatory and unable to see, and would have loved the radio reading service. And Drew Rotanic, who was a reader here at the radio reading service and recruited me into the reading. And of course to Harold F. Rickman, who founded the radio reading service here at Fayeville State University. Obituaries, death notices. The following deaths have been reported. See upcoming editions of the Fayeville Observer for complete obituary information. Cumberland County retired Staff Sergeant Charles F. The Hulk Wynant, 80, of Fayeville, Rogers and Briefs Funeral Home. Virginia Shaw Robinson, 74, Fayeville, Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. Ursula A. Santiago Vega, 83, of Spring Lake, Adcock Funeral Home and Crematory. Robert Stanford Carroll, 70, of Fayeville, Wiseman Mortuary. Cape Fear Region, Sharon Mullis, 42, of Cameron, Herring Funeral Care and Cremations. The Reverend Donald L. Simpson, 53, of Salisbury, formerly of Parkton, St. Paul's. L.E. Floyd Funeral Home. Mark E. Knightley, 65, of Ivanhoe, Bladen Gaskins. Ida Samuel, 99, of Laurinburg, Mars Funeral Home. Teresa A. Hill, 64, of Bath, Simon Funeral Home, Southern Pines. W.J. Coleman, 88, of Lumberton, Bowles Biggs Funeral Home. Funerals today: William Bruce Autry, 92, of Stedman, 3 p.m., Magnolia Baptist Church. Burial, Oak Grove, PFWB Church Cemetery. Butler Funeral Home, Stedman. Elmore, Estelle, 85, of Spring Lake, 11 a.m., Graveside, New Hope Baptist Church Cemetery. Burial, New Hope Baptist Church Cemetery, Adcock Funeral Home. Willie Taylor of Fayeville, 12:30 p.m., Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses, 3265 Cumberland Road, affordable cremations. Faye Sutton, 79 of Fayeville, passed away on Saturday, February the 10th. A funeral service will be held on Thursday, February 15th, at 2 p.m. in Baywood Pentecostal Holiness Church with Pastor Richard Robinson presiding. The burial will follow at Fayeville Memorial Cemetery. The family will receive friends prior to the service on Thursday from 12:30 to 1:30 at the church. In lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to Baywood Pentecostal Holiness Church, Baywood Road, Eastover. Arrangements are being handled by Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. Jerry Craven McDonald. Jerry Craven McDonald, 74, passed away on Friday, February the 9th at his residence. Private retired Staff Sergeant Anthony LaRose Mackey. Retired Staff Sergeant Anthony Tony Mackey, 90 of Fayeville, passed away on Sunday, February the 11th. A funeral for Rail Houston of Fayeville passed away on Sunday. He is from Houston, and husband Stephen Wolverton of Fayeville, Arkansas, Friday, 11 a.m. Baptist Church. Sullivan's Highlands Funeral Service Memorial Service, Thursday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Burial, private for the family only. Sullivan's Highland Funeral Service and Crematory of Fayeville. Charlie Randolph Primus. Charlie Randolph Primus, 80 of 5220 Foxfire Road, Fayeville, died Thursday, February 8th. Funeral Friday, 11 a.m. Grace and Truth Church of God. Viewing at the funeral home Thursday, 5 p.m. 7 Morrison. Douglasina Morrison, 80 of 715 Ashton Drive, Fayeville, died Wednesday, February 7th. The funeral is Thursday, 11 a.m. College Heights Presbyterian Church. Viewing at the funeral home Wednesday from 5 to 7. Burial will be Northside Cemetery. Herring Funeral Care and Cremations. Carolyn Ann Chavis. Carolyn Ann Chavis, 66 of Fayeville, died Sunday, February the 11th. Funeral service at 1 p.m. Galilee Free Will Holiness Church. Visitation Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. The burial of Cedar Creek Church Cemetery, Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home. Clyde Douglas Hicks. Clyde Douglas Hicks, 56 of Fayeville, died Friday, February 9th. All services will be private. Floyd Mortuary. Sarah Jane Lee. Sarah Jane Lee, 73 of Hope Mills, died Monday, February 12th. The funeral is Friday at 3 p.m. at Cape Fear Baptist Church. Visitation Cape Fear Baptist Church, Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. Burial Cape Fear Baptist Church Cemetery, Lafayette Funeral Home.
Region and elsewhere for today. Peter G. Vandenberg, Floyd, Virginia, 75, passed away peacefully in his home on February 9th, 2018. A memorial service will be held on Saturday, February 17 at 11 a.m. at Zion Lutheran Church in Floyd, Virginia. In lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to Good Samaritan Hospice or Zion Lutheran Church of Floyd, Virginia in Peter's name. Condolences may be made at Garner Funeral Home on Facebook. The family is being served by Gardner Funeral Home. Frances Sue Foster Page of Lumberton passed away peacefully at Wesley Pines Retirement Community in Lumberton on February 7. She was almost 100 years old. Mary Elizabeth Kersey Galloway, 83 of Laurenburg, died Tuesday, February 13. Funeral Friday, 2 p.m. Wagram Church of God. Visitation prior to the service. Let's see. Barry Baker Wood, of Rayford, 59, peacefully passed away at his home Sunday, February 11. Barry will be laid to rest on Thursday, February 15, 2018. The family will receive guests from 2 p.m. to 2:45 p.m. at Tabernacle Baptist Church, Rockfish, North Carolina, followed by a celebration of his life at 3 p.m., officiated by Reverend Tommy Underwood. The interment will be held at the church cemetery immediately following the services. Arrangements for the family are entrusted to Crumpler Funeral Home, Rayford, North Carolina. Rachel Evelyn Tart of Monk's Corner, South Carolina, 89, formerly of Maxton, died Sunday, February 11. Graveside, Friday, 11 a.m., Oak Road Cemetery, Maxton. Visitation, Richard Bowles Funeral Home, Thursday, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., Richard Bowles Funeral Service. Walter Gray Parker, Dunn, 87, died Sunday, February 11. Funeral Friday, 11 a.m., Cromartie Miller Funeral Home Chapel, Dunn. Visitation, Cromartie Miller Funeral Home, Thursday, 6 p.m., 8 p.m., Burial, Harnett Memorial Park of Lillington. And as I do on Wednesdays, I will read the Billy Graham offering for today. There's no need to fear death once you put your trust in Christ. Question. I often think about death, especially I even have nightmares about dying. Maybe it's because my parents died at a fairly young age, but I'm still fearful about dying, although I'm still in my 20s. Is something wrong with me? From CD. Answer. Perhaps because of your background, you think about death more often than most people do. But no, nothing's wrong with you. In fact, if you never thought about death, something would be wrong, because death is the ultimate reality we must all face. To never think about death isn't only unrealistic, it's foolish. The most important thing I can tell you, however, is that you don't need to fear death. The reason is that Jesus Christ came into the world to overcome death's power over us. Death was not part of God's original plan for the human race, but when Adam and Eve rebelled against God, everything changed, and sin and death became our common lot. But by his death and resurrection, Jesus Christ overcame the powers of sin and death and hell. And when we put our faith and trust in him, they no longer have any power over us. What will you do with Jesus Christ? This is the most important question you will ever answer, and I pray you'll answer it by turning to him and committing your life to him. Invite him to come into your heart and life today, and trust him alone for your eternal salvation. God's promise is for you, for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life in Jesus Christ our Lord. Then ask him to take away your fears and fill your life instead with his peace. Ask him also to guide you and help you to follow him every day. Readers can write to the Reverend Billy Graham at the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, Number 1 Billy Graham Parkway, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28201, or call 877-2-GRAHAM. The website for the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association is at billygraham.org.
Ann Landers. Dear Abby. Couple celebrates 50 years together with Abby's blessing. When I was 16 and I wanted to get married, my father suggested I write to Dear Abby, your mom was writing the column back then, and ask her my opinion, or her opinion. He said he would agree with what she said. I did, and Abby back. We did get married, and I decided that on our 25th anniversary, I would let you know how we were doing. You printed my letter. As we celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary, I want you to know our marriage has only strengthened. A very young couple who began life together with no idea what path we would take has experienced the best that life could offer. We have 2 beautiful daughters, wonderful grandchildren, and a great-grandchild. We've had success in our careers, traveled the world, visited every state in our great country, and can confidently relate that life has been good. Commitment through the good and bad times is the key to a lasting marriage. It isn't always easy, but the results far outweigh the problems. Took the advice in Montana. Dear, took the advice. I am pleased to know you are happy on your 50th anniversary, as you were on your 25th. It's interesting you would say that the key to a lasting marriage is commitment. I would offer that it is also mutual respect. My mother once said that the key to a lasting marriage is a husband who lasts. My warmest congratulations to you both. And a very happy Valentine's Day to you, your husband, and all my readers. Dear Abby, I'm married to a beautiful woman, Suzanne. We are bodybuilders and into fitness, so we are both quite muscular. Recently, my wife cut her hair short. It's a great look for her, and we both love the style. Unfortunately, some people have begun calling her Sir at work and when she's out about. Suzanne waits tables a couple of nights a week for extra income. Some of the customers have gone so far as to keep calling her Sir after she has told them that she's female. This infuriates me because it's so disrespectful. I know it hurts my wife's feelings. Although she has been super strong about it, it's plain when you look at Suzanne that she is a beautiful woman. How can she nip this in the bud before it starts to make her feel bad? I feel strong to defend her, and I don't want to get into a physical altercation with anyone over it. Hurt feelings in Florida. Dear hurt feelings, have Suzanne go topless. Then there will be no doubt that she is a female. Because your wife has a muscular build and a short haircut, it's possible some of the individuals who call her Sir are making an honest mistake. However, for someone to persist after being informed that she is a woman is extremely rude. It makes me wonder if the offender has a warped sense of humor or is threatened by her muscular appearance. When it happens at work, Suzanne should ask her manager how the situation should be handled, rather than allowing it to continue. But under no circumstances should you get into a physical altercation because of it. Instead of the home front, you let Suzanne just whoop tail anytime somebody does that in the future. And they won't call her Sir again. Dear Abby, my husband refuses to memorize my cell phone number. He says as long as it's in his phone, he doesn't need to. I feel he should know it if he loses the phone or the battery goes dead. I can be reached. What do you think? Logical in Kansas. Dear Logical, whop him upside the head with your cell phone. He is not thinking clearly. Maybe that'll make him jog his memory.
All right, thank you. Now, would you look for the birthdays today? Because
there are no birthdays.
No birthdays today.
Oh, yet one St. Valentine.
Oh, St. Valentine.
St. Valentine's birthday today.
That's very good. I hope you are all going to have a happy St. Valentine's Day. And here's the horoscope by Stella Wilder. Born today, you are not one to share your frustrations or problems with anyone freely. You have to be encouraged to open up and express yourself when things are not going well or according to plan. Aquarius, what you face today depends in large part upon what you've done recently to prepare for today's activities. Things are in flux. Pisces, you may not be able to trust in something that is new and improved right now. Instead, rely on that which is familiar. Aries, you can move quickly through your day without going fast, but it may prove difficult to moderate your tempo every step of the way. Taurus, the time has come for you to make the very decision that you have been trying to avoid for some time. At least you'll be able to move on. Gemini, you can work more efficiently today by changing your workspace around a bit. A change of scenery can work wonders when you're stuck. Cancer, others may be expecting you to step forward and take responsibility for something that will be hard to resolve, but you have valid objections. Leo, this is a good day to reach out to those around you and collect what they owe you. You must be clear. It's time to pay up. Virgo, you may have to try something that once before you are able to do it with any degree of comfort or expertise. Don't get frustrated. Libra, you can expect your mood to shift dramatically from one extreme to the other today, but you may not be able to pinpoint a cause. Ride it out. Scorpio, take care that you are not acting upon impulses that you cannot control. You'll want things to be far more intentional than that. Sagittarius, complications should not cause you to slow down today, nor should you speed up to avoid them. Deal with what comes as it arises. Capricorn, you may engage in a conflict of sorts with someone whose authority is equal to yours. Don't let this become permanent. And Ralph?
Don't let it become permanent. Mulvaney halts Trump budget on Capitol Hill. The White House budget director came to Capitol Hill on Tuesday to sell President Donald Trump's budget, but the administration's allies in the Senate preferred to talk about last year's tax cut rather than the trillion-dollar deficits contained in the new spending plan. The president's budget for the first time acknowledged that the Republican tax overhaul would add billions to the deficit and not pay for itself with economic growth and higher revenues. But Republicans talked about a series of bonuses and wage increases announced by companies whose taxes were cut by the tax bill. Trump's signature accomplishments in the GOP-controlled Congress. In all my years in the United States Senate, I have never seen such positive results just because we passed the tax bill. Gushed Senator Charles Grassley, Republican Iowa, at a budget committee hearing. Panel Democrats were having none of it. The tax reform legislation Trump signed into law a few weeks ago provides 83% of the benefits to the top 1%, raises taxes on millions of middle-class families, and drives up the deficit, said Senator Bernie Sanders, who aligns with Democrats. He's an independent from Vermont. The flood of red ink in Trump's budget, likely to reach perhaps $1.2 trillion in the fiscal year starting in October, represents a sharp increase after last year's $666 billion deficit. Office of Management and Budget Director Mick Mulvaney didn't talk much about the deficit in his 2-hour appearance. I would rather bring your numbers that are true and honest, that set forth a better picture of our fiscal condition than lie to you and tell you the budget would balance in 10 years. At one point it even sounded like Mulvaney, who served 3 terms in Congress and a member of the Tea Party, opposed the very plan he came to Capitol Hill to halt. Senior Democrat on the panel, Senator Patty Murray of Washington, asked Mulvaney, if you were in Congress, would you have voted for this budget that you're presenting? Mulvaney responded, as a member of Congress, I probably would have found enough shortcomings in this to vote against it, as did many members of this committee. His office later clarified that though Murray asked about Trump's latest budget, Mulvaney's response referred to last week's budget-busting spending agreement, which added another $300 billion to the Pentagon and government agencies over 2 years.
Oh, I saw this little puppy on TV. I had the TV on about 2 minutes this morning to see some news. And this little Bichon was the winner of the show at Westminster. Bill McFadden shows Flynn, a Bichon Frise, in the ring during the during the 142nd Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show on Monday at Madison Square Garden in New York. Well, he's fluffy. It took 2 hours to groom him. He looks like a fluffy little snowball that you want to pick up and hug. And apparently this breed has excellent qualities of behavior. Flynn, the Bichon Frise, was picked as best in show at Westminster Kennel Club on Tuesday night, a choice that seemed to surprise almost everyone in the crowd at Madison Square Garden. Fans who had been loudly shouting for their favorites fell into stunned silence when Judge Betty Ann Stenmark announced the choice. No matter, the white powder puff was picked and walked off as America's top dog. Well, very likely America's cutest dog. It looks like something Walt Disney dreamed up. It's just so absolutely precious. Guided by expert handler Bill McFadden, Flynn beat out Ty the Giant Schnauzer, Biggie the Pug, Bean the Sussex Spaniel, and Lucy the Borzoi, Slick the Border Collie, and Winston the Norfolk Terrier. The Giant Schnauzer, who was the nation's #1 show dog last year, was chosen as the runner-up. The 142nd Westminster event drew 2,882 entries in 202 breeds and varieties. Winston and Norfolk Terrier has won the Terrier group at Westminster, and now the final 7 dogs are set for the Best in Show ring at mostly full Madison Square Garden. The fans are getting loud and they're in a treat. It's a nice, I guess it means in for a treat. It's a nice lineup. Are Ty the Giant Schnauzer, Biggie the Pug, Bean the Sussex Spaniel, Lucy the Borzoi, Flynn the Bichon Frise, and Slick the Border Collie. 10:10 p.m. She kissed him, he hugged her. A Valentine's Day story on the green carpet of Madison Square Garden. Ty the Giant Schnauzer has won the working group, affirming his pedigree as the top-ranked show dog in America. Handler Kate Bernardine gave Ty a kiss on the mouth before leading him around the ring. After the judge picked him, Ty jumped up and put his legs around Bernardine. He knew, she said, adding they have a great connection. Next up is the Terrier group. Then it's the Best in Show competition in what's looking like an impressive final 7 lineup. 9:15 p.m. Bean was begging for it, sitting on his hind legs. Bean the Sussex Spaniel was rewarded with a win in the sporting group at Madison Square Garden. He did his little trick right on cue for the judge, and the crowd loved it. Handler Per Riesmeer gave him a treat too, a nice piece of chicken. At 6½, Bean is the grandson of the oldest Best in Show winner in Westminster history. Remember old Stump in 2009? In case anyone is wondering, by the way, about his coat, officially, the color is golden liver. 7:55 p.m. Lily Mancini of Sherman, Connecticut, and her English Springer Spaniel have won the junior showmanship competition at the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. The juniors finals were Tuesday night before judging continued toward Best in Show. 95 junior handlers were invited to the nation's most prestigious dog show. Its top junior prize increased this year from a $6,000 scholarship to a $10,000 scholarship. The 8 finalists all get some education money. Well, is this for the handler or for the dog? The Junior handlers are between 9 and 18. Okay, so I guess it's for their education. They judge on their presentation of their dogs, not the dogs particularly. But many also go up against adults to exhibit dogs in the breeding show that goes toward Best in Show. The juniors' finals ended on a light note when a Newfoundland paused for a leisurely pee before leaving the ring. 2:20 p.m. Sometimes getting to the main event at Westminster is simply a numbers game. To be the best golden retriever, a dog needed to beat out 51 others in their breed. To be the top Vizsla, it meant going against 44 other entries. It's pretty dandy to be a dandy Dinmont, that is. There were only 2 of them in Ring 1 today, so handler Sarah Crepeau of Massachusetts thought she had a pretty good chance of winning with Joker. I feel confident, she said. A couple of minutes and a couple times around the ring later, the judge picked Joker, and they were on their way to the Terrier Group final at Madison Square Garden. Crepeau said some shows she attends, there aren't any dandy Dinmots. It's a rare breed, although Best in Show judge Betty Ann Stenmark has worked with them for over 4 decades and lives with 4 at home in California. Some dogs had an even easier path. There was only 1 Commodore entered, so she was an automatic winner. There was also just 1 Schlugi entered, but it was a no-show, so no Schlugi shoe-in. Okay.
Police recommend corruption charges on Netanyahu. Israeli police on Tuesday recommended that Benjamin Netanyahu be indicted on bribery and breach of trust charges in a pair of corruption cases, dealing an embarrassing blow to the embattled prime minister that is likely to fuel calls for him to step down. Netanyahu angrily rejected the accusations, which included accepting nearly $300,000 in gifts from a pair of billionaires. He accused police of being on a witch hunt and vowed to remain in office and even seek re-election. I will continue to lead the state of Israel responsibly and loyally as long as you, the citizens of Israel, choose me to lead you. An ashen-faced Netanyahu said in a televised address, I am sure that the truth will come to light, and I am sure that also in the next election that will take place on time, and I will win your trust again with God's help. The recommendations marked a dramatic ending to a more than year-long investigation into allegations that Netanyahu accepted gifts from Hollywood mogul Aaron Milchan and Australian billionaire James Packer, and suspicious that he offered to give preferential treatment to a newspaper publisher in exchange for favorable coverage. The recommendations now go to Attorney General Ahamendaya, who will review the material before deciding whether to file charges. Netanyahu can remain in office during that process, which is expected to drag on for months. But with a cloud hanging over his head, he could soon find himself facing calls to step aside. During similar circumstances a decade ago, Netanyahu, as opposition leader, urged then Prime Minister Ehud Olmert to resign during a police investigation, saying the leader sunk up to his neck in interrogations could not govern properly.
Vote protection efforts lag ahead of the first primaries. Written by Frank Bajak and Christina Cassidy. And it's from the Fayeville Observer. With the first primaries of the 2018 elections lies more than a month away, you might expect federal officials to be wrapping up efforts to safeguard the vote against expected Russian interference. You'd be wrong. Federal efforts to help states button down election systems have crawled, hamstrung in part by wariness of federal meddling. Just 14 states and agencies have asked so far for detailed vulnerability assessments offered by the Department of Homeland Security. and only 5 of the 2-week examinations are complete. Illinois, for instance, one of 2 states where voter registration databases were breached in 2016, requested an assessment in January and is still waiting. Primary voters go to the polls there March 20. State officials can't say whether the assessment will happen beforehand. DHS says the assessments should be finished by mid-April. Meantime, fewer than half of the estimated 50 senior state elections officials who requested federal security clearances have received them, DHS said. That can hinder information sharing designed to help states deal with election disruptions. And Congress is still sitting on 3 bipartisan bills that address election integrity issues, including funding to upgrade antiquated equipment. Overall, experts say far too little has been done to shore up a vulnerable mishmash of the 10,000 U.S. voting jurisdictions that mostly run on obsolete and imperfectly secured technology. Russian targets targeted election systems in 21 states ahead of the 2016 general election, DHS said, and separately launched a social media blitz aimed at inflaming social tensions and sowing confusions. CIA director and 2 other top U.S. intelligence officials told the Senate Tuesday they've seen indications of Russian agents that are preparing a new round of election subterfuge. The Secretary of State has said the same. Texas will hold the first primary of 2018 on March 6. Illinois follows 2 weeks later. That makes local election officials the front line of the information age, said Eric Rosenbach, co-director of Harvard's Belfer Center and a former Defense Department Chief of Staff in the Obama administration. After what the Russians did, every other bad guy is going to come after our democracy now. Since last July, a bipartisan team at Harvard, including former U.S. Marine and Army cyber warriors, national security eggheads, and Google engineers, has been trying to shore up that local line.
Texas lawman axe used in sex assault. Accused Fort Bragg soldier awaiting extradition in attack on a teen girl. The Fort Bragg paratrooper awaiting extradition to Texas is accused of attacking a 16-year-old girl while wielding an axe, leaving her for dead in a field. The Harris County Sheriff's Office on Tuesday announced DNA evidence led to the arrest in North Carolina of Private First Class Levi Austin Goss of Port Neches, Texas. He's charged with aggravated sexual assault of a child and aggravated kidnapping. A 16-year-old girl was walking in Cypress, Texas when she was grabbed by a masked man, dragged to a field, raped, and left for dead. She was naked when she walked to a movie theater for help. Investigators at the February 2013 attack happened 3 years before Goss, now 24, joined the Army. Fort Bragg is cooperating in the investigation. Goss, who lives on post on Monday, waived extradition. Online records didn't list an attorney representing him. Harris County is among the most populous counties in the nation, with more than 4 million residents. Houston, the 4th largest city in the country, is the county seat. Cypress is a northwestern suburb of Houston, about 25 to 30 miles from downtown. Port Neches is about 90 miles east of Houston, near the Louisiana state line. Lieutenant Jerry Pilfott of the Sheriff's Office said Tuesday the girl was brutally assaulted. The complainant suffered life-threatening injuries, he said, and to this day she still deals with lingering effects of the incident. According to the warrant, the victim met with investigators at Memorial Hermann Hospital immediately after the attack. She was walking near Cypress Woods High School when she was attacked from behind by a man wearing a mask and struck on the head with the blunt side of the axe.
Intel officials say that Russians are targeting the midterms. Well, apparently their computers are better than ours, and that's just alarming to know that. How inexplicable the Chinese can do what they do and the Russians can target our elections. I'd like to know who dropped the gun on that one, or the dish, or the plate, or the skillet. Washington. 3 of the nation's top intelligence officials said Tuesday that the U.S. has seen Russian activity aimed at meddling in the upcoming midterm elections. We have seen Russian activity and intentions to have an impact on the next election cycle, CIA Director Mike Pompeo told the Senate Intelligence Committee. National Intelligence Director Dan Coats and Admiral Mike Rogers, the head of the National Security Agency, agreed. They didn't describe the activity other than to say it was related to information warfare. They told Congress that they would provide more details in a classified session later in the day. The intelligence officials said the information will be shared with state and local governments and state election officials. Russian interference in the upcoming elections is part of its pursuit of bolder cyber operations and false information campaigns against America and its allies, according to a new intelligence report on global threats. This year's threat assessment also described the risk of conflict, especially with North Korea, as higher today than at any time since the end of the Cold War. So too is a rivalry between Iran and Saudi Arabia that is destabilizing the Middle East. The danger posed by weapons of mass destruction also is rising. In the next year, Russian intelligence and security services will continue to probe U.S. and allied critical infrastructures, as well as target the United States, NATO, and allies for insights into U.S. policy, the report said. The 2018 U.S. midterm elections are a potential target for Russian influence operations. Russians stepped up their game with cyber, particularly in 2016, Coates said in a telephone interview with the Associated Press. His expectation, Russian interference in the midterm or in state elections. We think it's very likely because we don't see a let-up in efforts to do this, Coates told the AP. U.S. intelligence concluded Moscow interfered in the 2016 presidential election, which has led to a current FBI investigation into possible Trump campaign connections. Russia denies the allegations, and President Donald Trump has called the FBI probe as a witch hunt. Tuesday's report predicted Russian intelligence agencies will disseminate more false information over Russian state-controlled media and through fake online personas to spread anti-American views and exacerbate social and political divides in the United States. CIA Director Mike Pompeo also has said he expects Russia will insert itself into the November midterms, in which Republicans and Democrats will vie for control of the House and Senate. We will push back in a way that is sufficiently robust that the impact they have on our elections won't be great, Pompeo recently told the BBC. Coates and other top intelligence officials were appearing at a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing Tuesday to discuss their annual assessment of global threats facing the United States. North Korea's pursuit of nuclear-tipped missiles that can reach the United States, Russian and Chinese aggression, the standoff between Iranian and Saudi Arabia-backed proxies, and the threat of cyber attacks are all detailed in the 28-page paper. Cyber has been a game-changer in many, many ways, Coates said. The United States is under attack now. Cyber threats are coming from governments, terror groups, criminal organizations, students sitting in dorm rooms, and individuals working in basements with the technical ability to breach U.S. agencies, intelligence bodies, or the military, he said. Coates said the U.S. must craft responses to minimize attacks. The report singled out Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea as posing the greatest cyber threats to the U.S. Coates said if those trying to hack America's critical infrastructure, undermine the government, or hit financial institutions aren't penalized, they'll keep doing it. We are behind the curve in coming to a policy, he acknowledged. The wide-ranging intelligence report also says North Korea will likely conduct more missile tests this year and not negotiate away its nuclear capabilities. The conflict in Syria has shifted in favor of President Bashar Assad, enabling Russia and Iran to further entrench themselves in the country. The Syrian opposition's 7-year insurgency isn't capable of overthrowing him. I have to go.
Strike stokes fears of U.S.-Russian war. It's a scenario many featured in the fog of Syria's multi-front war, a confrontation in which U.S. forces responding to a provocation kill Russian soldiers or mercenaries on a crowded battlefield. Russian news reports Tuesday described just such a scenario, with an unknown member of Russian military contractors killed in a ferocious U.S. counterattack last week. But Defense Secretary Jim Mattis and other U.S. officials said they had no such information on casualties, and the Kremlin did not confirm any Russian deaths. U.S. officials also said the Russian government had lodged no complaint about its citizens being killed. What is not disputed is the fast change and often confusing nature of a battlefield in which forces of multiple countries are bumping up against one another, raising the prospect of violent collisions. Whether by accident or intention, such clashes risk plunging Washington and Moscow into a situation they studiously avoided even during some of the darkest hours of their relationship. Their forces directly warring with each other. Russian forces are supporting the Syrian government in its war with opposition groups, some of which are backed by the United States. Elements of both sides are fighting the last remnants of the Islamic State group in Syria, and U.S. and Army Russian military officials maintain daily contact to avoid battlefield mishaps. Beyond doubt is the ferocious scale of the U.S. attack on February the 7th in response to what the Pentagon called a barrage of artillery and tank fire from several hundred pro-regime fighters. For more than 3 hours, American F-15E attack planes and B-52 strategic bombers, AC-130 gunships, Apache attack helicopters, and Reaper drones fired on the attacking ground force, which Harrington said was advancing under covering fire from artillery, mortars, rockets, and tank rounds. The air power stopped the attackers' advance and destroyed an unspecified number of artillery guns and battle tanks, he said, but gave no estimate of casualties or full picture of the assailants. As the hostile forces turned west and retreated, we ceased fire, Harrington said, speaking from his headquarters in Qatar, said in a video teleconference with reporters at the Pentagon. In a second episode, the U.S. struck a Russian-made T-72 bank tank on Saturday after it took a shot at us in the same general area of the Zor province. Harrigan said, and that he did not know who was operating the tank. Russian media said Russian private contractors were part of a pro-Syrian government forces that advanced on oil fields in the El Zor province and were targeted by the United States. The report cited activists who said that at least 4 Russian citizens were killed in Syria on February 7th. The Russian Defense Ministry charged that the incident reflected a U.S. push to grab Syria's economic assets under the cover of fighting the Islamic State groups. And of course now it is food ad time. So let's get some food ads going. And let's see. Aldi. Let's run down to Aldi. where you can get some Sea Queen medium cooked shrimp. Now it's only $4.49. It was $4.99, so you're going to save 50 cents. Specially selected jumbo scallops, 12-ounce frozen, $9.99. What about a Sea Queen value pack tilapia fillets, 32-ounce frozen, was $5.49. Now $4.99. So you can get some good deals there. What about tomatoes on the vine? Some folks call them tomatoes. It's $1.29. And that is for a 24-ounce package. 24-ounce package. Pineapples, $1.29 each. Produce picks, California navel oranges, $2.49 for a 4-pound bag. Now that's a good deal right there. You need to eat a bunch of oranges every day. Mini sweet peppers, $1.69 per 16-ounce package. Florida strawberries, $1.49 per pound. California lemons, $1.99 for a 4-pound bag. That's per 2-pound bag. $1.99. Still a good deal, wouldn't you say? What about available Wednesday? $9.99 for fresh steelhead trout. That's $9.99 per pound. Whoa, that's expensive. But it's trout caught in Alaska. Available Wednesday, February the 14th, $2.99 per pound. Fresh family pack thin sliced boneless pork chops. And also available Wednesday, Valentine's Day, $6.99 per pound. Available while they last. And that is fresh, organic, grass-fed beef stew meat. That's good old looking beef stew meat. You know, at Aldi's they have things other than food. So you can get you a 5-foot foliage plant for $4.99. What about an easy home table for just $12.99? Easy home 10.5 gallon stainless steel trash can for $24.99. How about Crafton stainless steel utensil with grip? I mean, that's got a grip on it. $3.49. Crofton stainless steel steamer insert or splatter guard. $3.99. Also $9.99. A Crofton banana hanger with fruit basket. You know, you shouldn't leave your bananas hanging with other fruits or they'll rot faster. You have to hang them away from everything else and they will last much longer. Try it and see if it's not true. Fresh half pork loin, $60.69 a pound. It was $60.99 and now it's $1.69. Fresh black Angus beef strip steak. That looks good. Man, it looks good. $8.99 a pound. Fresh black Angus beef chuck roast, $3.89 a pound. And then you got Priano, the finest ingredients for an authentic taste of Italy. $3.99. 3 cheese or herb chicken, 20 ounces. And then of course you got pesto sauce, $1.99 for 6.7 ounces for that pesto sauce. So run on down to Aldi's and get a hold of all these deals. Here's fresh Atlantic salmon at Aldi's, $7.49 a pound. Fresh Atlantic salmon with Mediterranean herbs, $8.69 a pound. So you're going to pay a little bit more for those herbs. So run on down to Aldi. And let's see what else we got here. We have got 2 minutes and 25 seconds left to go. And this is at Food Line. Prices that you will love. Beef chuck roast, $3.49 a pound at Food Line. What about Food Line or ham or Swiss cheese? Whole Boston butt, $1.29 a pound. Food Line chicken drumsticks or thighs, 99 cents a pound. Cantaloupes, 2 for $4. Now that's a good deal. 2 for $4 for cantaloupes. Food Line gold potatoes, a 5-pound bag, 2 for $5. Well, what about hot sale strawberry tort? $6.99 each in the bakery. This concludes our broadcast of the Fayeville Observer. Your radio hosts today have been Ralph Walkie Robertson. Tune in this afternoon at 2 p.m. for articles from the Hope Mills Sandspur and the Fort Bragg Life. At 4 p.m. you can listen to Off the Bookshelf. Today's Fayeville Observer will be rebroadcast tonight at 9 p.m. We will now join the Raleigh Network for additional programming. Thank you for tuning us in. We've enjoyed being with you this morning. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.